I really liked the original Haste wireless. It was good price and it had one of the best shapes that I've liked ever, but it was kind of a letdown in specs, but it was a budget mouse, so I wasn't too harsh on it. The Haste 2 wireless ups the price to about $89 and, well, has a couple of important and notable changes, but it's still a bit of a letdown. So the Haste 2 wireless has one main strength, and it's the shape. The shape on here is phenomenal. You've got a very wonderful claw grip friendly mouse shape that is just amazing for my 19.5cm long hands. You've got deep grooves in the clicks, grooves on the sides, and a very low click position. The hump is low profile and in the middle, and it kind of gently curves throughout the whole mouse and extends out very far towards the back. And what that ends up feeling like is you have a lot of palm support, but it doesn't poke out and intrude and fill out your palm like bulkier, taller mice will do. It just supports your whole palm without kind of getting in the way, which for claw grip feels really, really good. In terms of size recommendations, this mouse is going to be good for medium to medium-large hands to claw grip. So I would say about 18cm long to 23cm long hands to claw grip. Although on the high end, you probably have to expect to aggressively claw grip this mouse. For my 19.5cm hands, claw grip is just phenomenal. If you want to fingertip grip this mouse, I would say that 19.5cm hands that I have barely cut it. So 21cm long hands and above will be what I recommend size-wise to fingertip grip this mouse. If you want to palm grip this mouse, I really don't recommend it because it's very low profile, so there's not a lot of space for your pinky and forefinger to rest on the other side with a palm grip, and it's not the best click feel-wise when you're palm gripping it, so use a claw or fingertip grip. As for other things on this mouse, well, there are some things here that have been improved. So there's now Bluetooth connectivity now, which is great for multi-purpose use of this gaming mouse. It has RGB, which a lot of its competitors in this 60g or 50g category really don't have, and it still retains its 60g weight from the original Pulsefire Haste wireless without having any holes that are visible, which is great. I mean, you can see some of the holes being hidden behind the sticker, but that's fine, no one really cares. But the build quality, while being decent, like there's no real flex or no crackle or rattle, it still feels pretty cheap, and that's got to do with the choice of plastic they have chosen here, which feels very scratchy and slippery, which I'm not the biggest fan of. It does come with grip tape in the box that's decently passable, so not too bad coating wise. You can still use the grip tape, but I would have preferred if they had a nicer finish to this mouse than what they chose to here. The switches are identical to the Haste wireless. The button placement with the DPI button and the thumb buttons are identical to the original Haste wireless, and I don't really know if that's a bad or a good thing. It's just the same. I didn't have any problems with it then, I didn't have any problems with it now. I do have a problem though that they didn't change anything with the clicks or the thumb buttons or the DPI button. The clicks are great in terms of pre-travel, they have none. They're light, crisp on-run clicks, but they have a lot of squishy post-travel. They're very loose feeling and they wriggle about, which I'm not the biggest fan of. The scroll wheel is alright, I mean nothing to complain about, though the middle click feels a bit mushy, which I'm not the best fan of. And the thumb buttons are horrendous. They wriggle forwards, backwards, up and down, and they're very loose and squelchy, and I'm just not the biggest fan of them. Especially for $90 there are a lot of options that are better with similar shapes that have better buttons and better finish. Now this does get a sensor upgrade from the last mouse. It has a 3395 sensor with motion sync instead of 3370 sensor, which is better for performance. Really, you cannot notice the difference. But the main problem here is not the sensor, but the sensor implementation. So according to Tech Power-Up's testing, there is a lot of click latency and motion latency and weirdness in its stability when you're running the HyperX software and have this mouse running. Like, it has issues with that, which is not really acceptable if you're trying to sell a esports try-hard gaming mouse. Also, the latency is kind of meh, like its click latency is not super competitive with everyone else. It's basically just standard, and for $90 there are just faster options if you care about those spec numbers.
Do note that it seems like most of the issues mentioned by Tech Power-Up has been fixed with a firmware update, and most users have reported not basically having any issues once that has been installed. And my usage of this has been pretty flawless, except for one issue in which my mouse might occasionally turn off and then turn on when I boot up my PC. So it doesn't happen in the middle of the game, so it's not a concern. It just happens when I turn on my computer, which I'm guessing it probably might have to do with the HyperX Ingenuity software kicking in. So
then this is a pretty short video because I don't really have much to say about this mouse. There has been some changes over the original Haste wireless to make it attractive on the spec sheet, but but in real world use, it's kind of underwhelming. I think what HyperX tried to do here was they tried to differentiate by cramming a metric butt ton of features, RGB, Bluetooth, and all this stuff on top of having spec sheets that were somewhat competitive with its competitors in this price bracket. But the problem is they didn't focus on getting the basics of refinement, like having good clicks right, of having good thumb buttons right, of having good stability in wireless connectivity right. And if they got that down, this would be a mouse that I would be recommending in the bucket loads. But because they didn't get the basics right, these differentiating features really don't matter because I just find it quite difficult to recommend. If you get it on a good deal, sure, go ahead and get it. But for most people, at $90 US, there are just way better options. $10 less from Endgame Gear, $10 more from Lamzu, $20 more from Pulsar. So the HyperX Pulsefire Haste Wireless 2, as much as I love this shape and I want it to do well, kind of flops a little bit for me. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and